Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. We continue with our discussion with regards to the book of Tahara, Kitab al-Tahara, the book of Purification from Sahih Muslim. We are on chapter number 15 of the book of Purification. Today, inshallah, we will talk about the siwak. What is siwak? The stick that we use for cleaning our teeth. This is also called miswak. Miswak, siwak, they both are the same thing. Babu siwak. Hadith number 252, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Imam Muslim rahimahullah narrates with his chain of transmitters and teachers, حدثنا قتيبة بن سعيد قال وعمر الناقد وزهير بن حرب. So he narrates his teachers, Qutaybah ibn Sa'id, Amr al-Naqid, and Zuhair ibn Harb, three teachers. قالوا, all three of them said, حدثنا سفيان عن أبي الزناد عن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه وعنهم عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لولا أن أشق على المؤمنين وفي حديث زهير على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك عند كل صلاة. Imam Muslim rahimahullah narrates this hadith from his chain of transmitters all the way leading back to Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who said that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, had it not been a hardship upon the believers, in another hadith, the wording is, had it not been a hardship upon my nation, لَأَمَرْتُهُمْ بِالسِّوَاكِ عِنْدَ كُلِّ صَلَاةٍ, I would have commanded them, the believers, I would have commanded them, I would have definitely commanded them. There is a command and then there is emphasis. I would have definitely commanded them to do miswak عند كل صلاة, before the salah, right? With every salah. In the next hadith that is reported by Imam Muslim rahimahullah, he narrates from his chain of transmitters going all the way back to Shuraih an Abihi, from his father, who said, Sa'altu Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha. I asked, so the father of Al-Miqdam ibn Shuraih, who is Ash-Shuraih, right? Shuraih asked, he's a tabi'i, the student of the companions. He asked our noble mother Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha a question. The question was, Sa'altu Aisha qultu, I said, بِأَيِّ شَيْءٍ كَانَ يَبْدَأُ النَّبِيُّ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ إِذَا دَخَلَ بَيْتَهُ. What did the Prophet with what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam began when he entered the house? What was the first thing that he did when he would enter the house? Right? Shuraih wants to know, in public they can see what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do. He wants to know, what does the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how does Prophet of Allah enters the house? Right? And that information can only come from the wives of the Prophet, right? Because it's something that is private. So the mother Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she said, bis-siwak. He used to enter the house with siwak. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make sure that when he enters the house and before he meets his wives, his mouth is clean, right? His mouth is clean. How many of us practice upon the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That's something for us to think about. وحدثني أبو بكر بن نافع العبدي. In another chain of transmitters, going back to Shuraih and then to Mother Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, that Mother Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha said, and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam كان إذا دخل بيته بدأ بالسواك. When the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to enter the house, he used to start with the siwak. In another chain, another hadith that goes all the way back to Abu Musa, he said, دخلت على النبي, I entered upon the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وطرف السواك على لسانه, and a corner of the siwak, was upon the tongue of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he was engaged in doing miswak, right? So he found the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam while he was the Prophet of Allah was busy cleaning his mouth with the miswak. In another narration, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا قام ليتهجد يشوس فاه بالسواك. Right? Hudhaifa radiallahu ta'ala anhu says that when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to wake up liyatajahada for tahajjud prayers in the middle of the night, yashusu fahu bisiwaki, he used to use miswak. Right? He used to use miswak. There's a specific meaning. We will come to that inshallah. The next hadith is talking about the same thing, but instead of tahajjud, it's talking about layl. إِذَا قَامَ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. That means in the middle of the night, whenever he would wake up, that's the first thing he would do miswak. So this shows that miswak is something that was very part and parcel of the Prophet ﷺ's lifestyle. Right? When he's waking up in the middle of the night, he's doing miswak. When he's entering the house, he's doing the miswak. Right? For the importance with the salah, it increases. Right? And he said that if it was not a commanded them to do it with every salah. Right? So that shows the emphasis. So that also shows that it's not obligatory, but it also shows how emphasized this is. How many of us do this? Once a day, once a week, once a month. It's completely matruk. This is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in the West, or I should say West is too big, I don't know about Europe, but in America, right, I can't speak, or in Canada as well, but in America for the most part, this sunnah is completely absent, right? In fact, if we do it in the masajid, people look at us weirdly. It's like, what is this guy doing? It's a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah. So in this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he emphasized how much this is a thing that needs to be done. The companions used to do it. It was part of the culture of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's not just the culture; it's the religious significance behind it. It's the mercy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he did not command it. It's the mercy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he did not command us to do miswak with every salah. Had he commanded, it would have become wajib upon us. Our prayer would have been invalid without the miswak. Is that emphasized, right? He looked at it from the perspective of, as he said, lawla an ashaqqa. If I knew that it would not be a hardship upon my ummah. So he wanted some ease for the ummah, right? But then he would always practice upon it. Right? So if we want to get closer to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we get closer to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam based on by obeying him and by following his sunnah. That's how we get close to him. So if we want to increase the reward of our prayer, we need to include the miswak before the prayer. Before the prayer meaning when we are doing wudu, just do miswak with it. In the Muslim countries, you see those who want to practice this, a lot of people want to practice this, they still do, they carry it with themselves in their pockets, right? They carry the miswak with themselves in their pockets, and whenever they make wudu, they pull it out, they use it, and then they clean it so that the water comes out of it, and they put it back in their pockets so that they don't miss out on this sunnah. So there are a few things that we learn from these ahadith. The first is that this shows that the highly emphasized nature of this, right, is not just a mere sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, it's an emphasized sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So the practice of the Prophet ﷺ, the practice of religious natures are divided into two: emphasized sunnah al-mu'akkada and sunnah ghayr al-mu'akkada. Sunnah that is very emphasized and sunnah that is not emphasized. What's the difference between sunnah that is emphasized and sunnah not emphasized? Sunnah that is emphasized is closer to an obligation. If you do it, you get reward for it. If you don't do it, there is sin for it. It's sunnah mu'akkada. And sunnah ghair mu'akkada is, if you do it, you get reward for it. If you don't do it, then nothing happens. That's the difference between the two sunnah. If you don't do it, you're sinful for it. Example is like the prayers. There are some of the sunnah in the prayers, they are sunnah mu'akkada and sunnah ghair mu'akkada. For example, two rakah prayers after the maghrib, that's sunnah mu'akkada, right? That's emphasized sunnah. If a person does not pray at all, right, completely abandon it, that's sinful, right? You abandon something that the Prophet ﷺ always used to do. It's emphasized. The 4 rak'ah sunnah before the fard in asr, that's ghair mu'akkada. So if you don't do it, there is no sin for it, but if you do it, you will get reward for it. So that's one example in the prayer, right? Similar, and then the fajr sunnah, the before fajr, that's not just sunnah mu'akkada, that's in between sunnah mu'akkada and wajib. It's very close, because the Prophet ﷺ in one hadith said that don't miss this prayer, even if you're afraid, I'm paraphrasing, even if you're afraid that the horses will trample upon you. So that's bringing it closer to wajib. That's why some scholars said that if you miss in the beginning, after you pray your obligatory prayer, immediately follow with the sunnah that was missed, right? In other madhahib. In the Hanafi madhab, they say that you wait for the sun to rise, and after that you make sunnah, right? But that sunnah needs to be mixed. There is a qada for it, right? So that's sunnah mu'akkada, right? So miswak is a highly emphasized sunnah. That's what we learn from this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, he mentioned that as-siwaku mustahabun fi jami' al-awqat. Miswak is something, doing siwak is something that is mustahab, that is recommended in any time of the day. وَلَكِنْ فِي خَمْسَةِ أَوْقَاتٍ أَشَدُّ إِسْتِحْبَابًا. Lekin there are 5 occasions where it is highly emphasized. Okay, what are those 5 occasions? عند الصلاة, before the prayers. Regardless of whether you are doing, you're preparing for the salah with wudu or with tayammum. It does not matter whether you have water or not. Even if you don't have water and you are forced to use tayammum to prepare for the prayer, still do miswak, right? Highly emphasized. And so water, the presence of water is irrelevant. So in part of our preparation for salah is miswak. Number 2 is the second occasion when it is highly emphasized is indal wudu. So there's a difference between indal wudu and indal salah, right? So you can perform wudu and then you performed wudu earlier and you have 10-15 minutes, you started reciting the Quran and whatnot, right? And then 15 minutes later, half an hour later, is time for the prayer, for the iqamah. All right? So you can still now do miswak. This is before the prayer, right? So Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, he separated in the salah and in the wudu, before salah and before wudu, or during wudu, he separated both of them. And wudu does not need to be done with the salah, right? You can perform wudu for the purpose of reciting the Quran, right? Reading the Quran, touching the Quran. Wudu can be before tawaf, right? Wudu can be on many different occasions. You just want to pray nafil prayer after the sun rises, right? And your wudu broke, right? So all of these occasions you can use miswak, okay? Just combine with wudu. The third occasion is inda qira'at al-Quran. When you prepare yourself for reciting the Quran, that's also a highly emphasized time for using miswak. The fourth occasion is عند الاستيقاظ من النوم, when you wake up. What's the first thing we do when we wake up? What do we do?
We just say the dua.
Dua, okay. Dua is good. MashaAllah, that's part of the sunnah. Dua is also good. After dua, what do we do when we enter the bathroom? Brush our teeth, right? In the morning. So brushing our teeth is good. Brushing our teeth is good. But the sunnah is to use the miswak. There is something that is related with this miswak in of itself that is different than just the mere cleansing of the mouth. Okay? Cleansing of the mouth. Using the brush and the chemicals is different, and miswak is different. Because the Prophet ﷺ specifically, humanity has been using all different kinds of things to clean their mouth, right? Yeah. some people in some societies, maybe some of your grandfathers or people who you probably have heard or saw them, your grandfathers and grandparents, using charcoal to clean their mouth, right? Burn ash, right? Because they didn't have toothpaste at that time. Toothpaste is after colonialism. What humanity was doing before that? They were using natural remedies, right? So miswak was one of them. The stick from the root of a tree or just a branch from a tree, right? They would break it and they would use it. Or some of these natural remedies, or ash, or burn charcoal, stuff like that. They would make their own paste. The Hakim doctors, right? They would make their own paste as well for cleansing of the mouth. So all of these things existed with people, but the Prophet ﷺ emphasized over this specific thing, that is miswak, right? Out of all the things that were prevalent with the humanity. So, but if a person does not have anything, they don't have miswak, you can still make an intention that, oh Allah, I don't have miswak to do the cleansing with, but at least I have toothpaste and toothbrush. So the similarity would be the Prophet ﷺ used to clean his mouth. The first thing that he would wake up, I am also cleaning my mouth. The first thing I'm waking up. So similarity, inshallah, we hope that Allah will grant us reward. There will be no reward for miswak, but there will be reward, jazakumullah khair. There will be reward for cleaning our mouth. You following me? So there's a sunnah of cleaning our mouth, the first thing, and there's a sunnah of cleaning our mouth with miswak. So if we cannot do with miswak, we can at least get the reward of just cleaning our mouth, right? That's what our scholars say, and we do that, most of us, we do that anyway. We brush our teeth the first thing when we do, what we do when we wake up. So let's make an intention that we're doing it because the Prophet ﷺ used to do that too. He would clean his mouth the first thing. So if we make that intention, we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us some reward. That's another way of us getting closer to the Prophet ﷺ. And if we do have a miswak, and we should buy a miswak, it's available online and whatnot, we should definitely make that part of our ritual, waking up ritual and habit, inshallah. So that's the fourth highly recommended action according to Imam Nawawi. And then the fifth one is inda taghyir al-fam, when your mouth changes, when anything changes pertaining to your mouth. And then he describes that the mouth can change with many different things. For example, you have not eaten or you didn't eat or drink for a while. You did not eat and drink for a while. So because your mouth is not eating and drinking for a while, we know during the Ramadan when we are fasting, we're not eating and drinking, what happens? The smell of the mouth, right? That smell of the mouth is coming from our stomach because it's empty, right? So that's a good occasion, because we haven't eaten or drank anything, not even water, for whatever reason, then we should do miswak, right? That will remove this smell. So you can do this in Ramadan and during fasting as well, okay? And it could be something that you actually ate or drank something, and the smell of it is not pleasant, right? When you ate something and because of that the mouth smells bad. Or tulus sukut, for a long time you've been silent. Or kasratul kalam, you've been speaking too much. So any of these things, basically either your mouth is idle or your mouth is being used in one way or another. Regardless of this case, the state of your mouth is changing, therefore it is a highly recommended action that you do miswak, right? Subhanallah, just another occasion of using miswak. Allama ibn Abidin, rahimahullah, he says that he adds more action items to this list. Taghayyur al-fam, when the mouth changes, and I described all of these things. Wal qiyamu min al-nawm, when you wake up from sleep. Wa ila salati, when you are preparing for salah. Wa dukhul al-bayti, when you enter the house, according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, narrated by Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. That's a very highly emphasized occasion of performing miswak. Wal ijtima'u bin nasi, when you are about to hang out with the people, right? That's a highly emphasized sunnah at that time. Wa qira'atul Qur'ani, when you are about to recite the Quran, use miswak. right? All of these things, all of these occasions when you're interacting with the people, or you are about to interact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Interacting with the people and interacting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our mouth needs to be clean. This is how importance Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah's messenger gave in making sure that the believer's mouth are clean and they don't smell bad, right? Because when we smell bad, our mouth smells bad, it hurts another person that we're speaking with, right? It also hurts the angels that are with us. Angels are very pure beings. They are very clean and pure beings. They do not like dirtiness, uncleanliness. We're not just talking about impurity. We were talking about uncleanliness, right? Dirtiness. So the smell, they don't like it. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ also said that if somebody has eaten onions or garlic, they should not enter the masjid. Do not come to our masajid. Why? Because it will take, either make an effort to clean your mouth, make sure that that smell is gone, right? But if you still have that smell from garlic and onions, do not come in the masjid. Because why? This will hurt another person who's standing next to you, right? Or it definitely will hurt the angels as well, subhanAllah, right? So all of these things are the Prophet ﷺ taught us so that we make sure that with our demeanor, with our presence, people around us are not hurt, right? SubhanAllah, this is what our religion teaches. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he said, Inna siwaka min sunan ad-din. So there is sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He said that this shows the emphasis of the miswak. This is the sunnah of the deen. This is the sunnah of the religion. This is part and parcel of our religion, right? Miswak is the practice of the deen itself. SubhanAllah. MashaAllah. Okay. Some scholars in our history were actually of the opinion that miswak before salah is wajib. Yeah, some of the scholars. This is not the dominant understanding. All the four madhahib, they say that this is there's agreement of all the four madhahib that the miswak is highly recommended. But as you guys may know, that there were other fuqaha as well outside of the four madhahib back in the days, especially during the time of the formation of the madhahib, right? So during the time of Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik rahimahumullah, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, this was a time where the madhahib were being formed. So there were other fuqaha as well who were equal in strength and piety and righteousness and understanding and knowledge. With these, they were their contemporaries, but their opinions or their madhab, their school did not survive for one reason or another. But some of them, so they had different understanding of over some of the matters. But that just their understanding, their conclusion based on their analysis and understanding of the scriptures and the ahadith. So Sheikh Abu Hamid and Imam al-Mawardi from Ishaq ibn Rahawayh. Ishaq ibn Rahawayh was one of the great muhaddith of his time. He narrates a lot of ahadith as well. So these two scholars, they were of the opinion that right before the salah, it is wajib for us, it's obligatory for us to do miswak. And if somebody does not do it, their salah will be batil, right? So they took that seriously, right? It just all shows to us that how much important this is. Your salah will be fine if you have not done the miswak, right? Because all four madhab, they agree this is highly emphasized sunnah, not an obligation. That's what the hadith clearly says as well, right? So all of these are something for us to reflect that, how can we revive this sunnah in our life? That's something for us to think about. How can we revive this sunnah which is almost fading away? If we are not doing it, then our children will never see it, and they will grow up learning, not knowing at all that this is something that is part of our deen, right? So, and if they never learn about this and they never see us do it, and we pass away, and then they have the children, you can see that the third generation will, if they actually see it and they're not learning from the scholars, right, this topic, then they will be thinking that what is a strange thing people are doing. When we go to the masjid, there are strange people who clean their mouth with sticks, right? They will look down upon this. They will look down upon this. And this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. We cannot look down upon this, right? Now, another important point that we learn here from Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha is that's the first thing that the Prophet ﷺ used to do when he would enter the house. This is to make sure, in other narrations we learned that the Prophet ﷺ, when he would enter the house, he would kiss his wife. He would kiss his wife. So this is to make sure that he does not smell bad, right? So this is part of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And then in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا قَامَ لِيَتَهَجَّدَ, when the Prophet ﷺ woke up in the middle of the night for tahajjud, يَشُوسُ فَاهُ بِالسِّوَاكِ, he did miswak, he cleansed his mouth with the miswak. And the word was used, yashusu. Scholars explain that shasa yashusu means to clean your mouth from top and bottom. So this is how we learn how to do the miswak. There's a way we do miswak. So when you have a stick, you go up and down. You don't go horizontal. That's not how you do miswak. You do miswak like this. Okay, up and down, and that's how you clean it. And then you open your mouth, and then you clean it up and down, 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 up and down. Don't do like this. Okay, so this is part of the sunnah as well, going up and down. That's what the doctors also say. MashaAllah, that's what the doctors also say. I guess they say that the gums are going to bleed or something like that if you do it horizontal. Enamel goes off? Okay. It gets damaged. Enamel gets damaged. Okay. Good. I learned something new, mashallah. But the Prophet ﷺ told us this. So see, sometimes we don't need to know the scientific hikmah and wisdom behind it. If we just follow the sunnah, things will be taken care of, right? And we will be benefiting from everything that is associated with it. We don't even need to know that. SubhanAllah. Instead of first we oppose the sunnah, we do something wrong or something else, then we suffer from it, then we do research, a decade study, then we find out, oh, that's actually harmful. What is actually good is actually the way the Prophet ﷺ did. Then we're coming back. Now are we coming back to the sunnah, or are we coming back because of the scientific research? Are we going to get reward because we are following the scientific research? Allah knows best. So sometimes we should just follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, even if at that point we are not, it does not make sense. The hikmah or the wisdom may not make sense to us. Why is up and down and not horizontal? It's a minute thing, right? What difference does it make, this way or that way? I'm cleaning my mouth anyway, but subhanAllah. And look at the companions. They are narrating very minute things. Like I saw the Prophet ﷺ in the middle of the night. He woke up for tahajjud. He cleansed his mouth. No, how he cleansed his mouth? He cleansed his mouth up and down, like that. Like how precise the detail is being provided by the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. SubhanAllah. And this is now we're benefiting from it. After scientific research, we're finding out that this is actually scientifically good for us. SubhanAllah. May Allah reward all of our companions and scholars for preserving this. SubhanAllah. It's amazing. In another hadith, Hujjatul al-Baligha by Imam Ash-Shahwali al-Dahlawi, on the basis of many different ahadith that are not in Sahih Muslim, but they are in other books of ahadith. He says, أقول.
What of your fans want to listen to your lecture?
أرجو أقول ينبغي للإنسان أن يبلغ بالسواك أقاصي الفم. So Imam Shahwali rahimahullah, Muhaddith al-Dahlawi, he says in Hujjatul al-Baligha, in his great book, he says that the people should, when they are doing miswak, they should reach the end of the mouth. Aqas al-fam. All, that what is it called that's hanging in the back? The crow or something? That is like hanging. It's all the way at the end, right? Each one of us has this in our mouth. So the miswak should go all the way at the end of that. And because in the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ, some of the narrators have mentioned that when the Prophet ﷺ was doing miswak, he said he made that sound which will occur if you take a stick, miswak is a stick, or your toothbrush, and you go all the way back to this side, all the way in the back. And when you touch that, automatically you're going to be like, that sound will come, right? And there's a hikmah behind this. Imam Shawwali rahimahullah, he explains this wisdom. He says that the people should reach all the way back, all the back of their mouth when they're doing miswak. فَيَخْرُجُ بَلَاغِمُ الْحَلَقِ وَالصَّدْرِ. This way, the balgham, the mucus and phlegm of the heart, of the chest, in the lungs, and the mucus that is in the throat. By doing this miswak this way, going all the way in the back, this comes out. So it's cleansing your lungs and your throat from the mucus and phlegm that is gathering inside. Subhanallah, right? This is Shah Waliullah mentioning this. Imam Shah Waliullah was around the year 1800s. This is right before basically the British colonialism began in India. This is the end of the Muslim rule of the Delhi Empire, the Delhi Sultanate in Delhi, and right. So and he was in Delhi, one of the great muhaddis. So he's explaining this wisdom at that time, Shah Waliullah rahimahullah, before any research was done. You guys can tell me if there's a research. I have not looked, but it will be interesting to find out. What? Oh, that's a mouthful to say, inshallah. Is that what it's called? Subhanallah. No, it's like it's hanging. If you, yeah, okay. Tonsils are going to be a little bit inside, but this is right in front of you. You will see that it's dangling. Tonsils are over here. This is dangling. Okay, so there's a piece of our meat in our mouth that's hanging. If you say and you will see that's hanging. Notice in the mirror, inshallah, when you go home. Each human being has that. For what purpose, Allah knows best. But this is where the deep we need to go. If you go a little bit deeper, then you're going to throw up. Okay, so we don't want to go that deep. It's just up to that. Okay, that's aqsal halq, and that will suffice. So miswak has many benefits, right? So in addition to cleaning our mouth and the breath and our teeth, it helps us clean our chest from phlegm, and our halaq, our throat, from mucus as well. Subhanallah. So this is one of the benefits. Other benefits are that our smell of the mouth becomes better, and it's not something that is hurtful to other people, right? So it's a natural mouth refresher, right? It also strengthens your teeth and gums. Miswak strengthens your teeth and gums. People who consistently on a daily basis they use miswak, through experience we know that in old age they have their teeth solid. They're still able to chew and break nuts. While their age group, while people from their age group who were not doing miswak at all or were not consistent with it, their teeth fell and they needed either artificial teeth or something like that, right? So this is from experience of old generation, right? You ask them what, because they didn't have when they grew up, they didn't have these Colgate or whatever, right? So what did they use? The miswak was the main thing that they would do every morning or with every salah at least, in addition to the toothbrush and toothpaste that they started doing when they grew up. Subhanallah. So that's the thing, right, brothers and sisters. Sometimes we talk about miswak and people are like, why are we talking about this? What's the point of this? You know. And there are people like that as well, who there's something going on overseas, right? Muslims are suffering, and you talk about miswak. Well, we're going to talk about everything that is pertaining to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? This is a holistic. Deen is holistic, right? So even if we are suffering and we are painful, we are not going to abandon our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sunnah practice. And if we are happy, we are elated, even then we should not be abandoning the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So this is all part of our etiquettes and purification as a Muslim. This is part and parcel of a believer, right? This is part of being a believer and his clean disposition, right? So we should do this miswak, the use of miswak as part of our religious activity, because we want to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not because we're going to gain scientific benefits out of it, but rather because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did that, and because we're doing it because of our Prophet, we're going to get closer to it. Our love for him will increase, and that will earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will send blessings and mercy upon us because of this association that we're trying to have with our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. How long? It depends on you. That depends on you. Just don't spend 1 hour. It doesn't take that long.